Hello, it's Jonathan at the piano lesson. How are you? Just felt like playing a little bit, kind of loosen up. I don't sit down at the piano often as I should. And reverse. Actually, although factually too, I don't have been playing very much because of my. Some of you people know I've been having my finger problem. Although it seems to be getting better with the application of some DMSO, which I won't go into, but you can look it up. But that was my romance, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of show you a few little things in there that I did. Again, the fun thing to me about playing jazz is looking at a problem, looking at music from a few vantage points. So you're not always playing the tune the same way over and over again. You're kind of exploring the possibilities of the tune. To me, that's what it's all about. Whether you're playing jazz or any kind of music, but to me, the word jazz evokes possibilities. It's not so much what it is, but what could it be, or what might it be, or what was it, or all of those things, all of those kind of possibilities that exist in this one little powder keg of a song. Kind of unraveling that, So let me just show you a few little things here that kind of go through my mind, my tiny little mind. The tune, for those of you guys who don't know, or the lyrics, my romance, and that's all I remember. Doesn't have to be a moon in the sky, my romance, something like that. So it's B flat, and this happens to be in B flat now. You probably already noticed I grab kind of clusters of notes. I don't necessarily grab like a chord like that. I kind of like to grab just sort of tonal clusters within the framework of the tune. So you might see a lot of steps or stuff like that. It works really well on the piano. Other instruments, not so much. B flat, E flat. Now there's more than one right way to do this. G7. This happens to be G7, sharp 5, sharp 9. I could do this. C7, or this happens to be C7, sharp 11. There's your 9th, and there's your sharp 11. And I like the 10th. F7, I'm just going to play a little simpler chords. F7, B flat. Then it goes to the relative minor. G minor, D7, G7, C minor 7, and then typically it would be F7. But sometimes you could play B, that's the tritone substitution. So another way to do that possibly is E diminished, E flat minor, B flat in first inversion, and then go to your G. But this pattern, I'll play it kind of simply, but E diminished, E flat minor, B in first inversion, C sharp diminished, and maybe C minor, and then maybe B. So what was propelling me to do that was the bass line. The bass line was driving the chords. The chords that I played weren't in and of themselves necessarily that important. I mean, although if I'm going chromatic, I could make other chords work potentially with the same roots. It's major 7, dominant 7. You just have to use your ear. But so when you're playing the first time through, say you're improvising, I like doing this a lot. I like approaching chords chromatically kind of doing that. E flat major 7, kind of, sort of. then I have this D natural. It's really E7, but then I have this here, and that's really not a chord, but that actually works. It's sort of unorthodox, but it does. If I did that, that makes a little more sense on paper. That's the 13, but doing this, that actually works in this context. Or that's even better because you hear this, but my romance. No, I have a chord on each one of those notes: C minor, B major 7, B flat major 7, E7, E flat major 7. And then I could jump right to the G. I could even have a chord with each one of those. So first time through, going to the relative minor, or starting diminished. So I'm going chromatic is the bass line. Two different ways to get to the same place, okay? If I know my goal is B flat, then I'm going to start on the tritone, the E. And I have to measure it out, measure by measure by measure by measure. My goal is still B flat. That's the other way to go. That's the other path. Two in general, right? You have fourths and fifths, and then half steps. Those are the two general ways to get to the same place. Or that's a tritone substitution right there. But you can kind of interlace those ideas. So the first one was B flat, E flat, D. Let's just say D7, G7. Again, I can just generalize. C minor, F7, and then you're back to B flat. That would be one way to do it, let's say. Or E diminished, E flat minor, B flat in first inversion. Let's just say C sharp diminished, but we could do different things there. C minor, we'll just generalize F7 and B flat. So we're going from, here we go from B flat to B flat. Here we go from E to B flat. So that's the tritone relationship that we're talking about. And then instead of F7, some kind of B7, right? I'll just throw it in B7, right? I'm gonna pardon me, just getting over a little cold here. B flat, E flat, D, G, C, F, B flat. That's the other way to do it. Or the other one. Two similar ways, and I'm kind of keeping the chords. I'm really not going crazy with the voicings. They're kind of relatively straightforward voicings. It's really the root movement that I'm kind of messing around with. And also, if you notice what I'm doing in my left hand, it's kind of a modified stride. It's not, but it's I'm keeping the beat. I'm keeping the beat. I'm doing like kind of a Oh, an anticipatory note with my middle finger. I'm not being as descriptive as I'd like. Now, if you notice another thing, I'm trying to make the arrangement a little bit more like a band. So maybe like the saxophone player plays, or doubled, let's say, with a trombone player. I don't know. So you have a call and response. I'm going from B flat to E flat, let's say. My romance. That would be very kind of square. That's okay too, but I sort of like getting to the relative minor. I'm kind of doing a chromatic thing here as well. I'm trying to make it sound more like a band than just simply, see, I played D minor there instead of D7. What did I have there? Instead of D7. I mean, that's possible. D minor 7, G7. And see, there's another possibility, right? You could do either of those because the root movements are the same. I could even throw like a C7 in here and then kind of split the beat here, C minor 7, F7. That's a possibility. And instead of the C sharp diminished, and I'm not exactly sure, what is it? D. I'm kind of sort of. You could kind of sort of play D or D flat 7. I have a sharp 9 there. Now, what does the sharp 9 do? Well, the sharp 9 is interesting because I'm kind of being able to get my cake and eat it. For instance, here's C sharp diminished, right? That note, right? If it was C sharp, that would be E. If I'm playing this chord, well, I can keep the E, but now I have a dominant, a major third in the chord, and you get a different sound, same root. So this increases the tension, right? Kind of interesting in that regard. The diminished chord itself, remember, diminished chord, we have this. Think about the the first 4 notes of the C sharp minor scale and the first 4 notes of the G minor scale, and then you have these little clusters in between. These are your perfect fourths. But then in between, right, you have your clusters of notes. These, right, and those are the diminished fourths, right? They're not thirds. This would be, let's say D sharp up to G sharp. This is D sharp up to G, right? Or E flat up to A flat. This would be A double flat. But these little bits here, and while these are separated by half steps, these are separated by whole steps. And then you're kind of back to the E flat. So being able to grab these little clusters, right? This is a minor tetrachord, minor tetrachord, minor tetrachord, minor tetrachord, right? Being able to look at those, all built on the notes of the dominant chord. Some people refer to the diminished chord as symmetrical simply because the enharmonic spellings appear similar. We're using the same keys on the piano, right? So C sharp, E, G, B flat. I mean, now this note is on top. Some people consider that a minor third, and among friends that's fine. It's technically not. it's actually a second. It's actually B flat up to C sharp. That's an augmented second. So it's a different interval. But I just get fascinated with that stuff. I really just kind of love the idea of doing that, of really thinking about the spellings. Here's another diminished chord, okay? And I'm going to be building the diminished tetrachords on each one. So diminished, 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 diminished. Those are fun to be able to kind of grab. So on. Or grabbing something like this. That's fun. Or and that's kind of completely destroying the tonality, right? But those are stacked diminished chords. This is the diminished chord a whole step above, and then this is a diminished chord a half step above that. So I've used all the notes. I'm going off on a tangent right now. That's kind of what happens to my brain sometimes. I just sort of go off and explore. That's the fun of playing these tunes. They're just an excuse to explore, really. And the slower you go, well, the more time you have. And when I'm playing in the bass, I use the pedal on I'm holding on the pedal now, for instance, so I can immediately move my hand up here. Notice the way I'm moving my hand, it's completely horizontal. I'm not doing this. I'm not lifting it up and then coming back down. You can't see it from above, but from the little version, I'm not making a curve. I'm not doing that. I'm going straight across. And I do that because it's more efficient. And I also don't want this note to be too loud. It's already as loud as it, way louder than I need it. So I just want to just glance it, just touch the surface of it, because I want this to come out, and it's hard enough as it is to bring out your melodies. You don't need your bass, beating you up. That's a little blues riff. And, the blues riffs are interesting. I mean, they do have elements of kind of a diminished quality to them in a way. What are we doing? The bridge is E flat, G, and then it goes to C minor, C minor, and then it goes back to the relative minor, B flat. So that's really interesting. It modulates again. It starts in B flat immediately to the subdominant. 6, 2, 5, 1, relative minor. Now, sometimes I could use a diminished there if I want, or G. Either one, it kind of works. There's that tritone relationship. And I could use dominant, or I could use minor, and I could use F7, or I could use B7, that's the tritone. And then the bridge. Then 2, 5, 1, F minor 7, F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7, or F minor 7, F minor 7, E7, and then E flat 7. So I went did this or did this. Again, one of two ways to get to your goal, or both work fine. And I could and then immediately G7. Anytime you hear dominant chord, that's going to mean you're going to be going to another key, right? G7 is the 5 of C. In this case, we're going to the 2 chord, 5 of 2. 5, G7, C minor, 2, E minor 7, flat 5, D7, G minor 7, 2, 5, 1 in a minor key. Remember, minor keys always have you always have the minor 7 flat 5 because that's part of the key. That's part of the scale. Right? That's that E flat. Let's do that again. Now I could do that. That's F sharp 7. My romance. I'm playing B major, B flat major rather, but I'm playing it in second inversion. So, it's in the key of B flat. I don't want to just play B flat in the bass all the time. Sometimes I want it to be B flat with D in the bass, first inversion. Sometimes I want it to be this, sometimes I want it to be in root position. These kinds of inversions work real well when you're getting to the end of the tune because you're kind of foreshadowing your dominant chord. My romance, G7, or my romance, D, G, C13, and then maybe C minor, F, possibly, or B, or B, or B. Notice I'm trying to hang on to the melody notes like glue. Love that. Gotta love that. And then maybe love that sound. And then maybe this. Little messiaen. Little bird sounds. It's kind of fun. A big B flat at the end. Guys ever do that? You ever just mess around? It's fun. I feel like Mr. Rogers right now. For those of you who don't know who Mr. Rogers is, look him up. I don't own any cardigans, but I own lots and lots of sweatshirts, and they're all the same color. This is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson, signing off until next time. I hope you enjoyed the show. Show's over.